Welcome to the Muslim Street. The Muslim Street, you can find us at www.themuslimstreet.com. We're here for a very important part two of our continuation of last week's discussion here with Dr. Viper White, who is a correspondent to the Muslim Street on geopolitical affairs and, of course, Africa. The focus, again, part two, as we continue the discussion from last week on how Europe, the United States, and Israel controls the Muslim world. Last week, just kind of give a recap. I want to give a shout out to the Lance Scurv Show, who was producing us all the way from Accra, Ghana. And we're here on location in Orlando, Florida. Of course, myself, Malik Aziz, with Dr. Viper White. Last week, we kind of set the stage for our discussion. Part one of the discussion dealt with how dealt with the period of 1884 to World War II. Today, we're going to talk about World War II to the present. Again, focusing on a discussion of how Europe, the United States, as well as Israel controls the Muslim world. Just give a summary of what we talked about last week so we can move the needle to World War II at least, and where Dr. White will interject from there. In 1884, there was a meeting in Berlin with all the European nations, and they sat down and they carved up the world. In their carving up the world, in retrospect, colonializing the world, they created an effect that not only had a serious effect on Africa, but also the entire Muslim world. European domination of the entire Muslim world kicked off at the conference in Berlin, Germany in 1884. In their carving up the world, they recreated maps. They drew maps through. They created countries. Iraq came out of that in 1920, right during and post World War One. We saw them draw phony, fake historical borders through the African continent. It had nothing to do with some of the ancient kingdoms that were there, particularly in Ghana and Mali, Songhai, Sudan, Egypt. So as you study ancient Egypt, and particularly Kush, ancient Sudan, you cannot relate that to the maps that were redrawn under the European occupation, and particularly the Great Kingdom of Ghana and the Great Kingdom of Mali. Too, that Ghana preceded Mali, is not the present day map structure that we see that was drawn and created by the Europeans and the domination of the African continent. So we moved through the period from 1884 through the World War I, where we saw the dismemberment of the Ottoman Empire, which was the last caliphate of the Muslims. And it's been 100 years, and we haven't returned to a khalifa state since then. One of the other things that we talked about is how do we get to the end of the last khalifa state or the caliphate. And I talked about how the first caliphate, kind of the first caliphate, after the passing of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we had a period of what was called the Khalifa Rashidin, the four rightly guided ones, where Abu Bakr Sadiq, then followed by Umar ibn al-Khattab, then Uthman al-Affan, and then Imam Ali. And then what broke out after that was the big, great fitna amongst the Muslims. And it was over one question, and that is, who should rule, right? And we talked about the three fundamental groups that arose during that period. It was Ahl Sunnah, the Shia, and the Khawarij. And then I went into the history of where we can find those three groups at today in the whole political thing, And before we turn this discussion to World War II and moving forward, I just want to mention the Sunnis won out. We had a brief period during the 4th and 5th century of the Hijra, where it was known as the century of the Shia, when the Shia arose. And it was a very moderate time, a time of assimilation under the Fatima rule. And the Fatimiyas were the ones who created the University of Al-Azhar in Egypt. That was created under the Shia. So, for the most part, the bigger discussion was how this event, this great fitna after the passing of the Prophet ﷺ and this war amongst the Muslims to control Islam, Sunnis won out, and they began, as they do today, and it is very important that we understand this in this context, in this historical context. It was the Sunnis who self-identify vis-a-vis non-Muslims. They want stability, right? The Shia and the Khawarij, who lost out in the battle, they self-identify vis-a-vis the Sunnis. So as we look at this political analysis and political construct amongst these three groups, and you will see that their activity down through the ages, save the period of the century of the Shia, is that the Shia and the Khawarij, when the Europeans move in, they want none of this, right? And it is for the first time, late 19th century, that we see politically the Sunnis who allowed the European colonialization period in, fairly easily. They're still not accepting this, right? So we see an alignment with Sunni, Shia, and the Khawarij. None of them want this new rule. This is outside rule. This is outside forces. Their rule has to go, right? Last thing I'll say before we turn this over to Dr. White is that as we move through the period of the dismemberment of the last Khalifa, the Ottoman Empire, and the British conniving and in concert with the French to see that this deal is done. And I went over, and you should research some of the notes, very important notes of how that played out in the Muslim world and the rise of the House of Saud, which brings us to the present day, in the present period that Dr. White is going to begin to talk about, and that is the period beginning where European colonialization ends, but there's a new colonization. And that new colonization are not the French, they're not the Portuguese, they're not the British, but their names are Ahmed, and their names are Jamal, and their names are Muhammad. It's neo-colonialization, right? And the Muslim world, for lack of a better understanding, is under neo-colonial rule. And I would like to introduce Dr. White at that period as we move into the second part of the discussion on how the Europeans, the United States of America, and Israel control the Muslim world from a neocolonialist perspective. Dr. White.
Thank you, Brother Malik. Man, this is historic. I mean, we had two OGs, right?
Yeah.
Two brothers from Chicagoland.
Yes.
Two brothers who were involved with the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
And now we're in Orlando.
Yes.
Man, that's historical.
Yeah.
All right. And two historians. Man, this is something that's great. I am so excited to be part of the show tonight because throughout the last year and a half, a number of Muslims have been asking, what is taking place with the Muslim community?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we allowing Gaza and Israel to behave in a way that it is? And the issue is, and the question is that Europe, the United States, Israel has underdeveloped Islam. Now, how does it begin? And how do we look at it? You know, I look at it just like you. You left off with the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah.
And at the end of the Ottoman Empire, World War One, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Ottoman Empire was really fractured.
Yeah.
I mean, all those countries that had some influence into this great empire were just broken up into small pieces. Now, when that happened, it killed something. All right, it killed the unified nationalist perspective of the Arab community. All right. Now, with that, we will see ultimately that we will see a number of wars taking place, starting to take place because the Muslims and the Arabs are saying that, listen, they have divided our land and now they have put in a foreign government.
Yeah.
And that foreign government is whom? Israel.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And they said this Israel was taking over land that's rightfully ours. So therefore, 1948 to 1949, there was a war. You had another war, 1956, 1967, which is the Six-Day War. All right, that took place. Then you had 1973, 1982, 2006, and 23 right now, 2023. And it looks like as if we cannot get anything done. So when the Ottoman Empire took over, one of the first things that Britain, all right, Britain is a major enemy here, major problem, along with the United States, they started to take over countries and they began to push their own leadership. Case in point was Iran. And that's very important because Iran right now is in the mix of all of this, which is really the most stable Muslim country and the one that fights back. So what happened? 1941, they had a person by the name of the Shah of Iran, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his name was Mohammad Raza Pahlavi.
Yeah.
All right. Now, he was nothing more than a stooge for Western ideology.
Yep.
All right. Now, they argued that, well, he's bringing forth new ideas of technology, new ideas of education, new ideas of the economy. No, what he is really doing is that he was selling Iran and the Arab world to the British and the Americans, and i.e. Israel. How is that? During his regime from 1941 to 1979, the British controlled and owned the oil refineries there. Everything. The United States controlled the oil as well. What else? The United States and Britain controlled the economy. In 1963, this guy called forth a white revolution. All right, what was the white revolution? The white revolution was no more than trying to turn Iran and the Arab community into an America, a proxy America. And guess what? For him trying to do that, guess what the United States allowed him to do? To begin to build nuclear refineries.
Yep.
Something that they're fighting against now. So we have that taking place. We also see that the Shah at an earlier period was a good friend of FDR.
Yes.
FDR was part of this. And also what's interesting, and during World War II, Iran remained neutral. How is that? If you're saying you're fighting against Nazism and all of this stuff, how do you remain neutral? They were neutral because they were allowed to be exploited and be allowed to be the stooge of American society. You don't have to do nothing. Now, as this is going on, the Muslims are fighting back. So the United States begins to push for a moderate Islamic society. Now, what is a moderate Islamic society? It really means this. It has nothing to do with Islam. It has nothing to do with the Quran. It has everything to do with not utilizing your religion in a liberation manner, something called liberation theology, not to use your religion to fight against oppression. Well, if that happens, then you're going against the whole nature of Islam in itself. So as this is going on, we begin to see other leaders that the United States would begin to create. All right. Now, when we came along, there was a great war between Iran and what? Iraq. All right. Who was the president of Iraq? Saddam Hussein. The man we just kicked off about 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now,
and mind you, a war that Iraq, who at the time was financed and funded by the United States government, started.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I think Hussein was also part of the CIA.
Yes.
All
CIA,
right.
1869, the Ba'ath Party placed him in power.
That's right. That's right. Something like Zelensky in Ukraine,
Yeah.
right? So we see that taking place. So now Iraq, the moderate country, the nicer country now, after the Shah is deposed of in 1979, and the Ayatollah Khomeini comes in to lead a Islamic revolution, which was really a young people's revolution, the United States responds with Hussein. And they helped to create the war, right, between Iraq and Iran. The United States was supporting Iraq, all right, giving them all types of armaments that ultimately killed what, about 1 million Iranians.
Yes.
All right, and Hussein was so much into the hip pocket of America. Do you remember that he started putting up monuments using the skulls of the Iranian people that he had killed?
Yeah.
That was the low down thing that he did. So anyway, we see that conflict coming in. And then we see now the Gulf War coming in now. Now what happens? The United States right now at this time is still trying to create a dynamic how they can control the Middle Eastern, the Arab, the Muslims. The Muslims are unified by nationalism. So what happens? They crafted an argument in the 1980s, 1990s of what? Radical Islam. Now, who crafted that argument? Who was the drafter? The drafter of that argument was Netanyahu.
Yeah.
All right, saying that we must stop radical Islam. Now, what is radical Islam? There's no such thing. But it was really meant to say that, listen, if you follow an idea that is un-American, that goes against Israel, that means you're practicing radical Islam, and that means you should be exterminated.
Yeah, and let me just interject too, and I want you to speak to this, Dr. White. During this period, less than a decade prior to the Reagan administration, and Netanyahu is beginning to make his move on the American lobby, right, and the American Congress. Comes up with this term that's related to this Islamic radicalism by saying Islamic terrorists.
Yes.
Now, but where's the first war on terror? It's not in the Middle East and amongst Muslims from the United States government. It is in Central and South America,
right?
In the mid '80s, right? It happened in the early '80s with Maurice Bishop and the overthrow of him,
right?
The Nicaraguans, and that whole trap that went down, later in the Bush administration. So then here comes this whole term after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991 of Islamic terrorism.
Right.
The Americans need a new enemy now, right?
That's right.
The Soviets are gone vis-a-vis the military-industrial complex. Can you kind of talk to that?
Even before that, look at it. They utilized, remember, the Soviet Union one time was fighting Afghanistan.
Yes.
All right? And the United States funded the radical groups in Afghanistan to go against the Soviet Union.
Yes.
And they were arguing that the Soviet Union was anti-what? Islamic.
Right.
All right? So they funded these militant groups, all right, to fight. Then what happens is that now the United States has a very interesting blueprint, and that blueprint is used over and over again. One, we have to save the world from radicalism because we want to save democracy. We want to save freedom of speech, but in reality, we want to save our money base.
Yeah.
All right. So this whole thing comes up again. What's this question? I just forgot the question.
The question of the period under Reagan, where Central and South America are. This is where the Contras, right? This is where the first war on terror is launched, not against the Muslims. The Muslims, particularly the war where Russians and the Iranians would have used Afghanistan to come in and defeat the Russians and the mountains in that war in 1979. Reagan comes to office, right? And by 1985, 1986, guess who's sitting in his office? The Mujahideen.
That's right.
Who's the Mujahideen? This is the relative starter kit for Osama bin Laden. Literally sitting in the White House, and he's calling them freedom fighters.
Absolutely. I mean, the United States has a history of, if you align with them, regardless of your past, regardless of your ideology, you're a good guy. I mean, right now, I mean, the president of Syria at one time was the chief enemy of the United States.
Yeah.
And now they cleaned him up. He has a suit on, long tie. He looks like he's a CEO of a
that's because
Wall
he's CIA.
That's right. The CIA. What does that mean? They're committed to intervene anywhere.
Yeah.
So you have this going on constantly. Now, what's also interesting as this is going on, Netanyahu creates this idea that we must stop radical Islam, which means, again, stop anyone that goes against Israel. Now, and they pick out enemies, right? Who was the enemy? Hussein. Who's the later enemy? Gaddafi.
Yes.
All right. And what's so sad about this is that this policy shapes American political interests overseas.
And it's bipartisan.
Absolutely.
Domestically.
I mean, a person who I worked with directly, I mean, Hillary Clinton. She was my boss at one time. I mean, it was her as well as
Barack Obama.
That was your neighbor, right, in Chicago? He was your friend, right?
We didn't see him on the streets of Chicago. I don't know what this community organizing stuff was.
I don't know. I don't remember seeing him either.
No. I don't know. That's a ruse. But it is he who assassinated and murdered Muammar Gaddafi.
That's right. And why did they do that? Because, I mean, Gaddafi recognized very, very early on that there was an attack against Muslim society and culture, North African society and culture, and the sub-Saharan African culture and people. And he was really picking up from what Nasser was trying to do. President Nasser of Egypt in the 1960s. Now, you all should know that because Nasser was a great man who was a ally and friend of our big brother, Malcolm X. All right. And they worked together along with Kwame Nkrumah, who called for African state. All right. So all of this works together, but the United States worked to undermine it completely. So that's where we are right now.
And just to go back and put a little more context around what Dr. White was talking about with Gamal Abdel Nasser in Egypt as they get their independence from the British, is that there was two blocks that emerged on the African continent coming out of colonialization. One, the Moravian bloc. These were the moderates who said that they want to ease into independence with great relationships with the former colonial powers, France, Britain, etc. Then on the other hand, you had the Casablanca bloc. This is the Moroccans, Mali, Ghana, and within Nkrumah, Gamal Abdel Nasser, Amilcar Cabral, and others who said that we need a united Africa, right? And we don't need the relationships with the former European colonists. Now, as you can see, that brings us right up until today.
Absolutely.
Almost 75 years later, still dealing with this issue. And now we see the emergence of Burkina Faso speaking to that issue.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely right. The United States has never wanted to see a united Africa. Nasser and his bloc, Kwame Nkrumah, called for the United States of Africa, called for the unification of Africa, politically, militarily, and socially, all right, as being something that could be good. Then the Soviet Union supported that, right? In fact, during Kwame Nkrumah's regime, the Soviet Union was helping Ghana to build nuclear energy sites. All right, if you go there now, you still see the silos. That's never been completed. So the United States worked within their organization, the CIA, to overthrow and to create a coup, all right, to get rid of him. Then, as that continues to go on, there's a groundswell. And now this groundswell is not just Africa, but it's actually the total Black world, all right, who wants to see a United States of Africa. Then you have Gaddafi coming into being. Gaddafi is now, he is the wisest of them,
Yeah.
because he utilizes his oil to turn Libya from one of the poorest countries in Africa to one of the wealthiest countries in Africa.
Mhm.
You were there, I was there. I didn't see no homelessness. I didn't see no unemployment. I didn't see the terrible things that we see in the Western world. But the United States, again, undermined,
Yeah.
destroyed, has something called the what do you call it? The Islamic Spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
All right, to undermine him. So now what we have Burkina,
the Arab Spring.
the Arab Spring. So now what do we have? We have Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
All right, and already there's a move to get rid of him.
Yeah. Now on this point, and it's a point that has been made, as you talked earlier about, America has the same playbook for the last 50, 60 years.
Absolutely.
And what they do, brothers and sisters in the listening audience, Sister Diane says she grew up in Chicago, and Obama didn't do anything in the community because he wasn't in the community.
He wasn't in the community.
Right? So going back to the point,
he was downstate trying to hang out with the white boys downstate.
Yeah. So this whole thing about this playbook that Dr. White talked about, they have not changed their playbook. The playbook they used in the instance leading up to the assassination, the overthrow, and then the assassination of Muammar Gaddafi by the United States government was first demonize him, right? Mm-hmm. Demonize him and make him universal public enemy number one, and then demonize the people. All right, before you move in and create this division that they did, and they split Libya up, and then it led to his demise. So they will use the same thing in Burkina Faso.
In fact, it's not only the same playbook, but also oftentimes the same photographs. What I mean by that, at the same time, remember the invasion of Panama with Noriega.
Noriega.
All right, they argued that Noriega was some type of he was addicted to pornography.
Mm-hmm.
He is addicted to prostitutions, having women at all times, every day, doing something. He's addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
They use the same pictures to put that same type of madness and lies on Colonel Gaddafi.
Yes.
The same pictures. The playbook never ends and it never changes.
And in the demonization, and I'm going to mention this because you'll see it in the case of Burkina Faso and Ibrahim Traoré, is that, and it's coming. It's coming. Just wait. When you see the demonization of him, it's out of the same playbook, and to reject it, right? So in the form of Gaddafi, Susan Rice, who was Obama's UN ambassador to the UN, right. She comes out with this massive speech telling the world, particularly Black people in America, that Gaddafi don't like Black people.
Yeah. And he identified as being Black.
Wait. Remember how we laughed at that?
Yeah.
But here's Susan Rice, who is Black, right? And if you ever see this lady walking on aisle 4 in your local grocery store, leave. I mean, that's how dangerous she is, right? Condoleezza Rice, these people, very dangerous.
Yeah.
Right? They are murderers. Yeah. Susan Rice is an assassin.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll see the same propaganda build up around Ibrahim Traoré, and then what they are going to attempt next, and you are to reject that.
Yeah. And the sad thing about it, this type of narrative they created has handcuffed the Muslim and in many respects the African world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for example, you have 3 billion, right? 3 billion Muslims.
Yeah.
All right. And it seems like none of them can come together as a unified force mm-hmm. to fight against what's taking place in Israel.
Yeah.
In fact, earlier today, I was looking at various YouTube clips, and I saw people protesting against Gaza all throughout the world.
Yeah.
Except for the Muslim countries.
45% of the world's population. And remember now, I maintain, out of my research, it goes back to the great fitna and the war amongst the Muslims after the passing of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Mm-hmm. There are 3 fundamental groups that arise, and there's only one. And one of the reasons that they arrive is who should rule, right? Mm-hmm. The Sunnis won out, right?
Yes. So Hussein. which is insane.
No. The Sunnis won out.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
The Shia and the Khawarij lost. Now, today, the Sunnis, in their winning out, they, as I stated earlier, they're interested in stability vis-a-vis non-Muslims.
Yeah.
The Shia and the Khawarij want none of this.
Right.
And if you look at Gaza, who's come to the aid of the Palestinians?
Iran.
No. The Shia.
That's right.
Right. The Iranians are Shia.
That's right.
The Houthis in northern Yemen, Shia.
Absolutely.
Right? Hezbollah in Lebanon, Shia. All Shia.
Right.
The Sunnis in that area, the Emiratis, the Qatarians, the Kuwaitis, right, along with the House of Saud, which was directly set up by the British, right? Mm-hmm. These people were put in power. There was no Saudi Arabia prior to the 20th century. Mm-hmm. We have to understand this. There was no Iraq prior to 1920. There's no Iraq, mm-hmm. right? This is a creation of British colonialism, right? Now, so today, the Sunnis who surround Israel in that region are only interested in stability. That means the status quo.
Well, they have been co-opted.
And that too goes along with the Egyptians.
I mean, they've been co-opted. I mean, what, the other day, the United Emirates, I mean, they signed a new pact with Israel to stabilize things. We see the United Emirates along with Saudi Arabia, they are destabilizing Sudan.
Because they're okay with the order of things.
That's
you understand what I'm
saying?
They
have been co-opted.
Yeah.
All right. So the only ones who's really fighting for what I call the real Islam now, all right, at least in protecting the interests are the Shiites.
Yeah.
And they're looked upon as being the bad guys. The United States has always hated the Shiites.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to 1979, easily.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we do about it? I mean, is it the people or is it the government? It's the government. Mm-hmm. The people want change. People want to help Gaza. People want to fight against Israel. But the leadership of those countries, Egypt, whereby the Egyptians allowed the Israelis to use their airspace, all right, and Americans to attack Iran and these other countries, right? They have co-opted now the leadership in Syria.
Yeah.
All right. So now what we're really talking about, we're talking about not only a fight against Israel, we're actually talking about a fight within the Muslim community. Mm-hmm. All right. As who's going to be the real defenders of the faith.
Yeah. One of the things we have to also recognize is that the attack on the Muslim world by the United States and this whole reorganization politically of that region, meaning the Muslim world, which emerges after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, is a bipartisan, protracted policy of the United States government to the rest of the Muslim world. It is Republican, it is Democrat. They simply pass the baton off one administration to the other with the same talking points. There is no difference between George Bush, the father, Bill Clinton, who was up next, George Bush, the son, to Barack Obama, to Donald Trump, to Joe Biden, who yelled out loudly, "I am a Zionist," to, of course, here we go with Donald Trump again, carrying out the same policies of the Biden administration in reference to the funding of the Zionist state in their war against the Palestinians. So don't get caught up in saying, had Kamala Harris won, it would have been different. No, it wouldn't.
No.
There's nothing in her record. There's nothing in the research on her that tells us it would have been any different.
Yeah,
right?
and they use what I call Uncle Tom Muslims to push their agenda. For example, in the Trump administration, as it was in the Obama administration, they got people like Sheikh Hansa Youssef.
Yeah.
All right, a person who converted to Islam, but even though he converted, he never supported any agenda that focused on working class issues, African American rights, the rights of the Palestinians. In fact, he supports everything that says, listen, the people in Gaza, the Palestinians, they're militant, they're radical, they should be exterminated.
Yeah.
But you see, they put these people up. And what happens now, the larger Muslim community now, they're so backward, they're so happy to see just a guy that has a Muslim name in the White House. They gave him all types of support.
Yeah. Well, reactionary politics. I mean,
yeah, I like that reactionary politics.
a few years ago, probably about 5 to 7 years ago, at a huge, very popular Muslim conference, RIS, he went on record discussing, as he stated, the pathology of the black family. Yeah, I mean,
what does he do about the black family?
Nothing. And then the same Hamza Youssef, for some reason, shows up giving a speech at a eulogy at Muhammad Ali's funeral.
How did that happen?
We can discuss how it happened through which is a whole nother story. I'm very good friends with Muhammad Ali's son, Muhammad Ali Jr.
The one in Miami.
The one in Miami,
okay.
Right? Just talked to him a couple of weeks ago. We should have him on the Muslim Street coming up. And we're going to have...
He's off the chain.
Yeah, now he is off the chain in terms of... we'd just like to talk to him some stories about his father and keep it in that context. But I will tell you this, when as you talked about, these Muslims who emerge, he's Donald Trump's imam, Hamza Youssef.
Yeah.
He's been appointed, by the White House as the buffer or the liaison to the Muslims in America and in the Middle East. And so this kind of stuff is dangerous because, again, we know him coming out of Zaytuna Institute and their weak policy, political policy vis-a-vis Palestinian liberation. No way you're going to defeat them. They yell out years and years ago. Okay.
I mean, these people like yourself, they get the larger Muslim community, which is very passive. They're not like us. All right. They're very, very passive. And this passivity, the only thing they care about, only thing that they like, if it's a white boy or a white girl becomes a Muslim, they say, oh, alhamdulillah. That's the only thing. Not looking at the politics, not looking at the real issues.
Well, look at this. There's a correlation between these Hamza Youssef types, right, and this who won out in the conflict. They're only interested in stability, right? We've been oppressed here 400 years.
400
right?
years.
We're not interested in stability. We're not interested in finding a place in the construct of white power in this country. We are interested in the same thing that the Shia and the Qawanis are interested in.
Absolutely.
And that rule has to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. And sadly, because of how we believe, it's an attack on us.
Yeah.
All right, our views. So therefore, the whole element of what I call liberation Islam that was brought forth within the United States through people like Malcolm X and so forth is gradually being dismissed into something completely different.
Malcolm X, what took place in the late 1960s and early 70s at the Dar es Salaam and the Black Liberation Army, which was basically the core of the Black Panther Party once it hit New York City. People like Darul bin Wahad, Assata Shakur, Afeni Shakur, all these people, Sandiata Kohli, coming out of the Black Panther Party into the Black Liberation Army, they were all Muslim.
Yeah, and you also said something about Hamza at Muhammad Ali's funeral.
Yeah,
Ali did not die as a member of that community. He died as a Sufi. All right, which is more akin to.
Well, some would argue that Hamza is a Sufi, but that's not our.
Hamza is just an American Islamic
hippie.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, wannabe. All right, who is there just to mislead the people, all right, and follow an ideology that does not jive with our fight for liberation.
Yeah. So, very interesting in that we have to continue to reject these narratives, don't accept them, push back on these people. When you see them where they are, yell them down. Let them know that they are not, that they're in a minority amongst themselves.
Yeah. What do you think now? I mean, what can the Muslim community also do? I mean, yesterday, Israel killed another 40 people. I mean, they have taken over Gaza, really. There's nothing more to be bombed. They're moving people into different areas, into the desert. What do we do about that?
Well, one of the things that Israel is going to face that not even South Africa faced when it overthrew apartheid, and that is that Israel, because of the Nakba in 1948, 750,000 Palestinians chased out of their own country and made to be vagabonds around the world. It created a diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
There's a serious Palestinian diaspora, right? Outside of Palestine, all around the world. They're organizing, and they're organizing very smartly. They're well educated. They're well financed. In fact, about it, I spoke with one of their representatives, Imad Al-Turk, who also is a contributor to the Muslim Street. They have created their own cryptocurrency. Absolutely. The Yafa coin. And
the Yafa coin?
Yafa, Y-A-F-A. Oh. Now, you would think, and not only they've created this Yafa coin, but it's well funded, right? Mm-hmm. And the whole idea was to come out of this issue of oppression on the other side of it to create Palestinian liberation, economic liberation, whereas South Africa came on the other side of apartheid in 1990, and they left in place the economic tools and the infrastructure to their oppressors who still control the economy of South Africa today. And that's why the Black South Africans, though they have the political structure, they don't have the control of the economic structure, and the masses of the people are suffering, right? Mm-hmm. So the Palestinians say they're going to use that as an example of what not to do, right? Mm-hmm. That there will be a liberated Palestine. And when there's a liberated Palestine, a diaspora would have the economic strength and infrastructure to move their policies forward. And that means as a nation state. Now, on the premise of that is Israel, with this genocide, they cannot survive as a country.
Mm-hmm. So therefore, we can use their playbook, how they try to destabilize our community. We can use their playbook to destabilize them with this new currency.
Well, I think it's an offensive move as opposed to a defensive move. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, oppressed people, Black people in America, have this down pat, right? That we will react to oppression. We'll react to racism, but we really don't have any offense. We have the Congressional Black Caucus. There's no offense.
Oh, yeah.
And Black leadership. Yeah. I call for the Darfur when I convened the Darfur 23 in the Sudan in 2007, and on my return, I immediately called for the transition of Black leadership. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't called like, move the leaders out of the way. I said that we needed new modalities moving forward.
Well,
we needed a new the new intelligentsia to come in and organize our people, the masses of our people, moving forward. And we didn't do that, right? And that's why we ended up here, always on defense. If you want a big crowd on any college campus, on any issue, all you got to do is go to the cafeteria at 5:00 toward the end of the day and put some racist remark up on the wall, right? The next 2 or 3 weeks, they'll be mobilizing against that. That's a defensive move, right? Yeah. But to come up with ideas for our liberation, to come up with concrete next steps for our liberation, we haven't done that.
I mean, the Congressional Black Caucus, we find that they support Israel, 99% of the time.
Yeah.
Most of them get their money from AIPAC.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. In fact, some of them may even be citizens of Israel, just like some of their white counterparts. All right, so they're not for our liberation, and they're not for the liberation of third world people or people in the global South.
Yeah,
they should be moved out completely. Every one of them.
That's how in 1997, Dr. Khalid Muhammad did a excellent.
Who's Khalid Muhammad? Let me know.
Yeah, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, former national spokesperson of the Nation of Islam under Minister Louis Farrakhan, and passed away in February 2001.
The original intellectual gangster.
Yeah, truth terrorist.
He's the
That's
original.
What he called himself, right? But in a roundtable discussion in St. Petersburg, Florida, he talked about, he went through a historical analysis from Reconstruction to the present of the failure of the black petty bourgeoisie vis-a-vis democratic power politics. That it hasn't worked for us, right? Dr. Conrad Worrell, former who founded the National Black United Front, passed away a few years ago. He too, and pull this on YouTube, you can find this. He went through a historical analysis from Reconstruction to the present and talked about the failure of the movement of black people that went towards democratic power politics. And that is not to say the Democratic Party, but it's democratic power politics as a solution for our liberation. It has failed, right? If you look at the late 1970s to the mid 1990s, black mayors controlled all the tier 1 and tier 2 cities in the United States, right? And there was no movement forward for our people. We had Cleveland with Stokes in the late 1970s. We had Coleman in Detroit, Dinkins in New York, Harold Washington in Chicago, Richard Hatchett in Gary. We had Manny Jackson down in Atlanta, Barry in Washington, D.C., out in California, Mayor Bradley,
Hatcher,
and Mayor Bradley in Los Angeles, Houston, Dallas, Memphis, Tennessee, all black mayors. But we didn't see the pendulum move forward whatsoever in terms of prosperity of our race and moving forward toward our liberation. And we controlled politically all the tier 1 and tier 2 cities. Philadelphia and Wilson Goode, we saw what he did in 1984 when he bombed.
I mean, there's no more than professional managers.
Yeah.
That is to manage the underclass. Going back to Khalid Muhammad, people don't know that I think he was the first African-American citizen to be censored and to be condemned by the United States Congress.
Yes, 95 to nothing by the Senate.
By the Senate. Imagine that.
Yeah.
That means he was saying something.
Yeah. Well, anytime they're
a non-member of the Senate.
Well, if they're not opposing you, then you're not doing what we need you to do, because they declare war on us. We did not declare war on them. We were minding our own business.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we kind of want to conclude, Dr. White, kind of wrapping up with a question to you, with the understanding of that you've given us in part 2 of how the West and Israel has controlled the Muslim world moving forward. Where do we go from here?
I think we have to follow your example, what you stated earlier. I mean, we have to rise up, we have to raise the right questions, and we have to follow the minority group within the Muslim community who is not afraid. We also should be members of BRICS. I'm a big fan of BRICS. I work with BRICS as the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa coalition. It now has over 50 members. It represents over 54% of the world's population and over 54% of the world's resources. They are taking on Western hegemony head on. We have to join that type of coalition because we can't do it by ourselves. And BRICS is allowing Africa itself to become more of a major power broker within global affairs. All right, and things are changing. We cannot allow ourselves, African Americans, to be separated from BRICS, to be separated from the global South, and to begin to say, oh, well, we must support American democracy and support the Israeli line. Being critical of American foreign policy does not mean that you're against American democracy. It means that you really love democracy, but you want this country to do what is right.
Yeah, good point. So just kind of close out my portion of this. I mentioned, and I don't want to leave any loops unclosed, open, and that is the Yafa coin. Try to support that.
Definitely.
It's cryptocurrency. They have a scope of liberation around it. It's a liberation coin. And I'm surprised that this hasn't scaled to some of the larger voices within the Palestinian American community.
Is there a link we can get?
Yeah, and we'll post that. We'll post the link. And we've had Imad Turk on earlier, but they've created an endowment around the endowment strategy around it in order to fund liberation movements for Palestine, right? Nonprofits, NGOs, um, organizations who lobbying organizations. This is all in the plans where they can lobby around the world to for the Palestinian liberation. And I think this is a very good strategy. It's an offensive strategy. And again, for the life of me, I don't know why some of the louder voices inside of America amongst the Palestinians haven't picked this up. Rashida Tlaib, who was the congresswoman. Sometimes these people.
She's been conditioned to.
Yeah. Sometimes, she's afraid. She's afraid. She feels like she's kind of been.
But she has become now part of the establishment in many respects.
And unfortunately, my message to the Palestinian liberation movement that it has to be a liberation movement, right? You can't float on both sides. It's just like we saw in the 70s with the rise of the FALN and the Puerto Rican nationalist movement. It has to be a liberation movement. You can't say to or try to appeal to the West, particularly the Americans, to do better. You can't shame these people. These people took slaves from Africa for 310 years, made us work from sun up to sundown. They raped our mothers. They hung our fathers. Okay, these are the same people, right? Their wealth was built upon that. 310 years of free labor. They are not going to change their mind and say, the Palestinian people is so bad. What they're doing to you, we're gonna do better. They're not gonna do better.
One of the problems with the Palestinian movement is that they have refrained from making an alliance with the Black revolutionary movement, almost as if to say that we want liberation, but we don't want to be like you are.
I think you might find some of the voices here, but not internationally. Internationally, they have connected with Africa and liberation movements there, and they have connected,
but not the United States.
Internationally, they have connected back to the Black liberation struggle here, right? And the principles remains the same, whether and that is because the leadership here generally are the same thing that we see in the CBC. That they are the petty bourgeoisie. They want a place inside of Americanism.
Absolutely.
Right. They just want a comfortable place. They want the Americans to do better, and have a more balanced policy toward Israel and Palestine. Stop funding them to kill us and just kind of level set. Again, the status quo. They're fine with that. A two-state solution, all that. They're fine with that, right? But liberation says something totally different.
And also, they try to get liberation through the two-party system.
Yeah.
All right, thinking that if I'm a Republican, that's better than being a Democrat and vice versa. They don't understand that, as you stated earlier, it's just the same. The same.
These are the same people.
The same people. Cousins.
They all eat the same restaurants together.
Play the same golf course.
Yeah.
Drive the same cars.
Yeah.
Marry into each other's families.
And they think they're different, and they're not.
No.
We know that they're the same.
Absolutely.
Right? And it would be and people like you, Matt Turk, who have aligned themselves with the Black liberation struggle. It would be a message to the larger movement for them to do the same. I mean, when I say align, I don't mean only in words and or the civil rights kind of movement. I'm talking about the revolutionary status amongst Black people in this country. There's a whole nother movement, and Reverend Al Sharpton ain't part of it.
And also, I see somebody online. They're talking about the leadership of Chicago, and the mayor of Chicago. What's his name again?
Johnson.
He is nothing like a Harold Washington.
I don't want to be so tough on him, brother.
You don't want to be tough on him?
No.
But I don't. I have to be tough on him.
No. I don't want. His back is to the wall, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
maybe he needs to get some backbone.
He's been played out of position and I think in a fronting kind of way, from an element of the Black MAGA movement on this immigration thing. I ain't buying into that. No, I'm not. So I would say that we need to be a little patient from him. But I don't know how Chicago's going to answer to him in the next election. Donald Trump is on his way to get this Epstein thing off of the front pages. He's into
that's not going to work either.
This military takeover that he did in Washington, D.C. He says Chicago's next. And then he's going, to this next stop. So he wants to do this as a flag, wave it as big as he can to keep that Epstein thing off of the front page.
It's so funny he wants to
because that's going to lead to him getting kicked out of office.
It's so interesting. If he wants to go someplace in Illinois, he should go to Springfield because Springfield has a higher percentage of violent crimes than Chicago.
But Chicago is more sexier, bro. I mean, his whole point is he has to keep it off. He has to keep it off the front page.
Absolutely.
Because they literally have video, and he knows all this stuff. With his Epstein.
That's something we should talk about next time.
Going to lead to him getting impeached.
Yes.
All right. So, such as that, I want to thank you all for joining the Muslim Street. You can find us again at www.themuslimstreet.com. Any contributions that you want to make, don't make them in money. You don't need your money. But we do need your thoughts. We need your information. If you got to put together some articles, we will review them to see if they're worthy of revolutionary publishing. Right. The other stuff you can kind of send in to your local newspaper and or op-ed section. But we cover hard-hitting information, hard-hitting facts. And again, I want to thank the Lance Scurv Show for producing us from Ghana. And until next week, we will see you then. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, that was good. Yeah. We're going to pray Margaret and go get something to eat. Yeah.